Before you listen, understand this. These are not stories you casually play in the background. This video contains 4 horror stories, each one slower, darker, and more unsettling than the last. Stories where people thought they were alone, until something proved them wrong. Some doors were never meant to be reopened. Some roads should never be taken twice. And some things follow you long after the story ends. If you enjoy horror that lingers, horror that doesn't rush, horror that waits until you're comfortable before it strikes, then you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Subscribe now and stay here. New stories like this are released regularly, and the ones who miss them often wish they hadn't. Get comfortable. Put your headphones on. Let's begin. Story 1. I didn't plan on stopping. That's the part people always misunderstand when I tell this story. I wasn't being heroic. I wasn't trying to help a stranger in the woods at night. I was just driving. And then my body reacted before my mind caught up. The scream cut through my car like a knife. Not far away, not distant. Close enough that it felt like it came from inside my chest. I slammed on the brakes so hard the seatbelt locked across my ribs. The car skidded sideways slightly, tires shrieking before everything went dead still. No radio, no wind, just my engine ticking and cooling. Then again, "Help!" A woman's voice. Raw, hoarse, desperate. I rolled my window down an inch, heart pounding so loudly I thought it might drown her out. Please, help me. Left side of the road, deep in the woods. I remember thinking how wrong it sounded, not the fear, but the clarity. There was no panic in the words themselves, no sobbing, no breathlessness, just volume. I grabbed the baton from my seat. I don't own it for protection. I carry it because of a job I had years ago. That night, it felt heavier than it ever had before. "Who's out there?" I shouted. The response came instantly. "Please help me." Too fast. I stepped off the road. The woods swallowed the light almost immediately. My headlights faded behind me as branches scraped my arms and face. My flashlight beam cut through the trees, but it felt useless, like shining it into smoke. "Keep yelling," I called out. "I can't see you." She screamed again. Same volume, same tone, same distance. I ran. Branches snapped under my feet. Cold air burned my lungs. I pushed through thorns and low-hanging limbs, chasing the sound like a lifeline. Every 10 seconds. "Help!" I adjusted course, ran harder, faster. But something started crawling up my spine, no matter how far I ran. She never got closer. Her voice didn't echo, didn't bounce, didn't weaken. It stayed perfectly centered in the darkness. I slowed to a stop, chest heaving. My flashlight shook in my hand. That's when I realized something else. The woods were silent. No insects, no wind, no animals. Just my breathing. And then, "Help!" Right behind me. I spun around so fast my ankle twisted. Nothing. Trees, darkness, my own footprints. I shouted, "Where are you?" 5 seconds passed. Then, "Help!" Same distance again, not closer, not farther. Matching me. That's when my instincts finally screamed louder than hers. This wasn't someone lost. This wasn't someone hurt. This was something that didn't need to move. I turned and ran. I didn't look back. I didn't care where I stepped. I ran until my lungs screamed and my legs burned and the woods tore at my clothes like they were trying to hold me there the entire time. "Help!" Always behind me, always beside me. Never catching up, never falling back, as if it was gliding. My headlights appeared through the trees like salvation. I burst out of the woods, threw myself into the driver's seat, slammed the door, locked it, and floored the gas. I drove for miles before my hands stopped shaking. I called 911 and told them everything. The screams, the woods, the way the voice followed me. They said they'd send someone out. They asked if I could stay nearby. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because the idea of stopping felt insane. I went home. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. A week later, I saw it on the news. A woman, early 30s, found dead in the woods by a man walking his dog. No signs of a struggle, no wounds, no cause of death. The location made my stomach drop. Same stretch of highway, same woods. The reporter said investigators believed she'd been dead before the night I drove through. That's when I understood. I never heard a woman in danger. I heard something rehearsing, practicing a voice that once belonged to someone real. And sometimes, late at night, when I'm driving alone and the road gets quiet, I swear I hear it again. Not screaming, just breathing, waiting for me to stop. I should start by saying this. The truck didn't break down suddenly. It warned me. The temperature needle crept upward so slowly, I convinced myself I was imagining it. Red light bleeding into white snow. The kind of problem you tell yourself you'll deal with after the next hill. That hill never came. The road was empty in a way that felt intentional, like the world had stepped aside to give something room to breathe. Snow fell thick and lazy, swallowing sound before it could travel. My headlights tunneled forward, carving a fragile little bubble of safety that ended just a few feet ahead of my hood. When the gauge slammed into the red, my stomach dropped. I eased onto the shoulder and shut the engine off. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It felt like being watched. The truck ticked and popped as it cooled. Steam curled up and vanished into the dark. I stepped out briefly, the cold biting instantly through my jacket, and lifted the hood. It was useless. Snow, darkness, and metal. No signal on my phone, no houses, no wind. Just trees packed tight around the road like a wall. I sat back inside and locked the doors, let the engine idle for warmth, tried driving again. The needle climbed instantly. That was it. I was stuck. Time passed in pieces. 5 minutes, 10, 15. Long enough for my thoughts to start circling places I didn't want them to go. Then headlights appeared behind me. Relief hit so hard my hands trembled. A small Toyota slowed and pulled over. The driver didn't get out. He rolled his window down just enough to speak. What happened? I told him. Overheating. No service. Nowhere to go. He listened. Nodded. Then he asked a question that didn't belong there. You alone? The pause before I answered stretched too long. Yeah. He watched me after that. Not curious, not concerned, focused. He handed me his phone. Full bars. I made my calls quickly, aware of his eyes on me the entire time, watching my hands, my face, my body language. Not once did he look away. When I gave the phone back, he didn't smile, didn't say goodbye. He just drove off. I watched his taillights disappear over the hill until the snow swallowed them completely. The darkness felt heavier after he left. I locked the doors again even though they already were. To distract myself, I turned my headlights off for a moment. That was a mistake. The darkness outside wasn't empty. It pressed up against the glass, thick and absolute, like something waiting for permission. I turned the lights back on immediately. 20 minutes passed, maybe more. Then, bang! The sound exploded against the passenger side window. I screamed before I could stop myself. A shape stood inches from the glass. I swung my flashlight toward it, but the beam barely reached past the hood. All I could see was black fabric. A hood pulled tight. No face. Open the door, a man's voice said, not pleading, commanding. I'm freezing. I didn't respond. His breath fogged the window. I need to get inside." He tried the handle. It was locked. Again. Harder. My heart slammed against my ribs. I asked what happened, asked where he came from. He didn't answer. He started pounding on the glass. Each hit louder, more violent. The window flexed slightly with each blow. I put the truck in drive. The engine screamed as I hit the gas, overheating be damned. As the truck lurched forward, the man realized what I was doing. His fists hit the glass harder now, angrier, desperate. I sped away, tires slipping on the snow as I crested the hill. That's when my headlights caught the Toyota, parked on the shoulder. Empty. No engine running. No driver. As I passed it, my taillights washed over the snow behind me, and I saw them. Footprints. Fresh. Leading from the Toyota, straight to where my truck had been parked. He hadn't appeared out of the woods. He had been there the entire time, watching, waiting. I didn't slow down. I didn't look back again. I drove until another set of headlights appeared ahead. Yellow, flashing, unreal. The tow truck. I don't remember what I said to the driver. I don't remember his jokes or how quickly he worked. What I remember is this. The Toyota never passed us. And when I finally looked back down that road, there were no footprints, just untouched snow, as if the road had swallowed him whole. Or worse, as if he had never needed to walk away at all. It was supposed to be a harmless night. That's how it always starts. I was 17, first girlfriend, still living with my mom. Parents divorced, house quiet in the way that makes you feel older than you are. We both worked day shifts, me at a grocery store, her at a coffee shop, and by Friday night we were too tired to be ambitious. Dinner was cheap, 10 minutes from my house, the kind of place where the lights are too bright and the booths are cracked vinyl. She complained that the night felt short. I apologized. Money was tight. So we compromised. A night drive. We started in town, windows cracked, radio low. Then the streetlights thinned out. Pavement turned darker. Familiar roads gave way to ones I didn't recognize. Eventually, asphalt ended completely, and our tires crunched onto dirt. The woods closed in fast. That's when we smelled it. The second we stepped out of the car, it hit us. An odor so thick it felt physical. Rot. Metal. Something sweet underneath, like decay trying to hide itself. She gagged instantly, covering her mouth. "What is that?" she whispered. I lied. I said someone else must have pulled over earlier. An animal. Trash. Anything normal. But the smell didn't drift. It didn't move. It sat there. We both had to pee badly, so we rushed it. A flat clearing just off the road. Flashlights off. Quick. Quiet. The woods felt too close. On the way back to the car, a sound snapped to our left. A twig. Sharp. Intentional. I felt that primal jolt. Adrenaline flooding before thought. We rushed toward the car, keys already in my hand. Then, a scream. Not from the road, from the place we had just been standing. It wasn't an animal. It wasn't distant. It was human. My girlfriend froze. "Please don't go," she said. Her voice shook. "Please!" I told her to get in the car, locked the doors, told myself I was being brave, told myself I had to check. I stepped back toward the clearing. The smell was stronger now. Thicker. I heard the scream again, closer. But something about it was wrong. The pitch didn't change. The emotion didn't change. It sounded reused, like a recording played through a mouth that didn't understand it. My courage drained instantly. I didn't step closer. Instead, I pulled out my phone, turned on the flashlight, and took a picture. The flash lit the woods for less than a second. That was all it needed. A man stood there, white shirt, black stripes, perfectly clean. He wasn't moving. In front of him was a blue tarp stretched across the ground, not covering something, hiding it. The smell made sense now. I ran. I didn't shout, didn't look back. I unlocked the car, jumped in, slammed the door, and floored it so hard the tires kicked dirt into the air. My girlfriend kept asking what I saw. I didn't answer until we were deep back in town, lights everywhere, people around. Then I showed her the photo. She didn't scream. She just stared. And then she started crying. She let me stay the night. Neither of us slept. We never went back to that road. Years later, I still have the photo. I've tried to delete it. Every time I do, it reappears. Backed up, restored, renamed with a different timestamp. And sometimes, when I look at it too long, I notice something I swear wasn't there before. The tarp isn't flat, it's breathing. It was late summer when it happened. The kind of night that feels endless, where time stretches and nothing seems urgent, until suddenly, everything is. I was almost 19, hanging out with my best friend, killing hours the way you do when you live somewhere quiet enough that boredom feels like a physical place. Rural roads, closed stores, darkness that starts early and stays. We did the usual things. Mall, bowling, walking empty streets pretending we were tougher than we were. By the time midnight rolled around, we were still restless, still not ready to go home. So we drove. Back roads, country roads, the kind where the pavement narrows and the trees lean in, where headlights feel like an intrusion instead of protection. Eventually, the road crossed state lines and turned to dirt. The county didn't care about it. No maintenance, no lights, just packed earth and stones winding along the base of a low mountain. A few scattered houses hidden so well you'd miss them if you weren't looking. We slowed to a crawl. That's when we saw the light. One porch light, glowing alone in the woods. Under it stood a man. He didn't wave, didn't move. He just stood there, perfectly still, head turning slowly to follow us as we passed. I couldn't make out his face, just the outline of a body, upright, alert, waiting. My friend laughed nervously and said maybe the guy was having a smoke, but smokers move. This man didn't. We drove on, tried to joke it off, picked up speed once we hit paved road again. The tension eased enough that we told ourselves it was nothing. That was the mistake. A few miles later, on a road I knew like muscle memory, my headlights caught something ahead. White. Too white. At first I thought it was a deer. Albino, maybe. We get those sometimes. I slowed instinctively, but it didn't move like an animal. It was walking. In the wrong lane. Against traffic. Hunched slightly forward. As we got closer, the shape sharpened. It was a woman. Long gray hair hanging in clumps. White shirt. White pants. Dirty. Wrinkled. Old in a way that didn't match her body. She didn't turn around until we were about 50 feet away. When she did, my stomach dropped. Her eyes were sunken deep into her face. Dark circles carved into her skin like bruises that had never healed. Her mouth hung open slightly, teeth visible, lips dry and cracked. She raised her hands, started waving. Then she ran toward us. That's when we saw the blood. Dried and fresh, smeared across her clothes, and in her right hand, a knife, long, dark, heavy. My friend screamed. I floored it. The engine roared as we flew past her, tires gripping hard as we sped away. I didn't slow down. I didn't check the mirror. We drove for 35 minutes instead of 5, looping roads, turning where we never would have, convinced she might somehow appear again if we went straight home. We watched the news for weeks. Nothing. No missing woman. No attacks. No reports. Years passed. Life happened. I moved, got married, settled down. And then, earlier this year, something happened that dragged all of it back up. Police raided a house not far from that dirt road. Drug operation, illegal fighting ring, human trafficking rumors. The house had a porch with a single light. I drive that road now almost every day. Still no sign of the woman. Still no sign of the man. But sometimes, late at night, when I crest the ridge and the woods open up just enough for my headlights to stretch, I swear I see someone standing under a light that isn't supposed to be there, not moving, just watching. And every time I pass without stopping, I feel like I've done exactly what it wanted.